Hello, good evening, welcome. Episode 6, JMK Custom Works Live. But tonight there is an alteration. We're bringing in an alternate. Zach is on a rescue mission and he can't make it. So I had to do the next logical thing, and that was bring in my pop. How are you, Dad?
Hey, bud.
How are we?
I am good tonight.
Excellent. We got a couple people in the chat. 11 watching. That's awesome. Thank you all. Go ahead. Get some of these going. JMK. Hello, sir. Welcome. I hope we can keep you entertained. Cliff. Good to see you, sir. And you're welcome. Tristan, g'day. G-Force, how are you? Hi, Mom. Jacob, what's up, sir? I'm exchanging some texts with this gentleman. You might be working on something for the show. That'd be cool. Hoping.
That's awesome.
Forward to that. Mom says hello.
Hello. Okay. I'll put that on the rotation. Another alternate.
Add you to the queue. Tristan says hello to you. All right. Well, that's caught up for that for the moment. Just monitor it if you can. Throw some peanuts at them. They demand entertainment.
Well, I will do my best to keep up with the chat.
I'm
not getting mesmerized by the sweet custom paintwork.
Well, that'd be good, but I'm not gonna fault you for it.
Well, no.
So we got everything painted last week, and then I clear coated this week. Now I understand that sounds a little backwards because now we're adding detail, but since we're doing camouflage, it needs to flow, and so the joints need to be assembled. And when the joints are assembled, I need everything to be clear coated. So I kind of jump ahead, do the clear coat. We'll partially assemble tonight, and then I can paint the limbs as a whole. That way all the camouflage, since we're doing straight lines and we're not doing small pattern like you would with a woodland or a chocolate chip camo or something like that. So these are going to be straight lines, straight-ish. Yeah. Def Lep, baby.
The women cover.
Hell yeah. So we're gonna work on assembly. Chances are I will probably mute my mic because the heat gun will be going because we have to heat these up so we can put the pins back in. And that's a pretty easy process. You just kind of have to watch and follow as I move through that process. It's pretty easy. I use the same pin and gunsmith block to remove them that I will to reassemble. So there. What up, Menjoza? There you go. Yeah.
I knew what you meant, JMK.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute. Try to get this done as quick as possible. And I mean,
are you going to show the warming up and popping the joints, or are you just going to do that off screen?
Well, I could probably arrange this to where we could watch it.
Oh, yep, you got the block out there. Good block for this.
Remove that real quick.
Trusty Amazon heat gun.
I like this one because it's got the foot on it. You don't have to hold it. You just let it sit and you can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's just a little clip-on piece, right?
What? This?
The foot? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. Perfect for this.
She's a trusty unit. All right. I'm going silent.
Going mute. Okay, so there's probably two, but my favorite was we went to Chattanooga to a show. Mikey was kind of out of the whole collecting and not really doing that anymore. So I went to that year. Marauder had the not John Wick figure, and Mikey, I brought it back, and Mikey was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And I did see him for a couple hours. Met back up at the hotel room, and he had a little.
That wasn't Chattanooga.
That was
Augusta.
Was it?
That was
Augusta?
The first year we went to Augusta.
Okay, I thought it was Chattanooga. You got hooked on the John Wick.
Nope, I had one without any commitments. The second one was the problem start.
That's right. That's
you were.
Okay, so that's right, because it wasn't just that show where he got into it, because then he and I walked around. And he was like, "Well, what if I wanted to make this?" And that was probably the last time that Mikey ever asked me what I would use to make something. From then on, it was pretty much me like, "Hey, what if I wanted to do this?" And he would start suggesting parts and pieces. But the best part, G-Force, was that he had. We got home, and I showed him on my local marketplace. I live about 3 hours from him, and he had showed me I had shown him on the local marketplace. This logo even left. I was like, "Man, this guy's got the tomahawk, and he's got this other stuff, and he's got pretty good deals." So Mikey not only buys a big bag of figures, but I said goodbye to him. I went to work, and a few hours later, he sends me a message, and he says something about picked up a couple more things and showed me his passenger seat had just a bunch of crap he'd bought from this guy here in town. And I just remember thinking, like, here we go. And it was awesome because, like, I mean, Mikey and I never run out of things to talk about. I mean, we talk most of the time, and in the morning, both of us are like dreading going to work, and I have to get some quiet time in there. But Mikey and I can go on a trip somewhere, and for the entire trip, until one of us gets mad at the other one for missing a direction or something, we pretty much just fluidly talk to each other. So yeah, he was it definitely started something. So when we did talk after that, it was always about the figures, and he just got deeper and deeper into it, and to where he is now. So it was a pretty cool memory of all the memories of when he was a kid. You know, him and I picking out his first 12-inch GI Joe at a show and stuff like that are all great memories. But that one was the one that I feel like brought him here. So I think that one's pretty fond for me. Yeah, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. It was one show, a couple of cool figures, and that was the end of it. That was the end of it. So, see there, Mikey's popping pins in. He's just warming up trying to not warm up the whole part, just where he needs to put the pin in so that it slides in. And most of this stuff, you just have to give it just a little heat. Some things take a little bit more heat to pop on and off. But for pins, it's pretty straightforward. The part you're popping into doesn't need it. So, in fact, the higher the temperature difference between them, the easier it's probably going to be to put them together. Yes, and had begun. This is the JMK Custom Works origin story. Let's see. Oh, warming up the next step. Oh, getting ready to pop the tip joint in. At this point, there's no reason to paint the pegs because the pins, because you are going to be pushing on them with your punch, whatever punch you decide to use, and that is you're always going to end up rubbing the paint off anyway, and it's not that hard to just paint inside the pins when you get them ready to go. And Mikey's just using, looks like bamboo skewers, which are very handy and extremely inexpensive. You can get a pretty good sized bag out of them at Dollar Tree. And then you can chop them to whatever size you need. They're real nice. You got a piece of foam, you just stick them in the foam to paint or hold them away from each other. And they're at it. You can even sand them down a little bit to use it if you need to. Mikey's just popping them into the joint, holding the joints, like putting it in the wrist hole or one of the other places you're not going to run a pin. And that makes it they're extremely handy and they're cheap. You don't care if you get paint on them. Exactly. G-force. Is there something similar to a soldering iron with low heat that you can insert into the peg hole to loosen it up? Well, I hope you wouldn't have to do that. But if you are going to loosen it up, again, you just do the heat gun or a little hot water. But I do see why you would want to isolate that heat. But usually a soldering iron is there's almost no way to control how hot it gets, and it's really hard to find. If you can control it, it's really hard to find that medium to where it doesn't melt the hole that you're putting it in. I would think you could probably use a really intense heat light type situation with a really high intensity bulb. You could probably do that and it wouldn't put the air everywhere like a heat gun does. Hey Talib, welcome. Cooter's Garage. Hey man. John and Mikey, what would be a dream project for you to work on? Well, we'll come back to that. I'm curious what Mikey thinks, but right now I feel like we are kind of working on what is kind of a dream project behind the scenes. We talked about it on Couple of KUKs the other day. We're going to do kind of a little science fiction renaissance in 1/12 scale. So that is something we always want to do, something that was just where both of us could use the talents that we have. We have similar but divergent talents. Mikey has honed his painting skills past pretty much anything I can do on plastic, and I can engineer, model, that sort of thing. So we kind of found a really good project with this thing that's coming up for DFW, and I think that is kind of like our dream project, just something that we could work on together. I mean, obviously everyone would love to be in a situation. Not everyone, obviously. Some dads and kids don't get along, but it's one of our favorite points that come up when we go to a convention, is people tell us, like, I hope that me and my kid are doing something when I'm your age, and that's pretty awesome in itself. But being able to go to shows together and show the product that we've come up with together, and show how those two talents end up working together to create a finished product that is pretty awesome. So I'd say that is probably. I'm sure there will be more, but right now this was always our dream, and now we're kind of doing it, and that means a lot. It means a lot to me, for sure. Maximilian said, "Hope you're having a better day, Mikey." Well, his words to me earlier was, "Well, it didn't get any worse." So there you go. There you go. It didn't get any worse. So yeah, I think peg hole is good for both what you're talking about, what we're talking about here, and also as an insult, Harry. That is a don't be a peg hole. Appreciate you watching, Jacob. I like boil and pop just because of its easy to do. But what I have found, and Mikey may have talked about this in the past, but the hard ABS that is used on the torso and the abdomen joint, that can, when it's boiled, especially on colors that are red or have red or blue dye in them, will oxidize a little bit, and they kind of turn a little bit white. You can fix that with mineral oil. After you've done it, you just rub a little mineral oil on there with a cotton swab and let it set for a little bit, and that'll kind of replenish the plastic coloration and bring it back out. But it is frustrating. So that's one thing you got to be really careful with the boil and pop, is not to keep it hot for too long. You don't want it to boil, literally boil, when you drop them in there for a little bit. Yes, Mikey's camo patterns and Cobra logos are chef's kiss, Tristan. That is exactly true. JMK said, "Don't be a peg hole or a knob." Yo, Joe Daddy. What's up, Mikey and John? My boys and I collect together, and the rest of the time my daughter and the boys are playing ball somewhere. Love seeing y'all's father-son dynamic. Thank you very much. We are really proud of that. Maximilian says, "Don't be a peg hole," and he's got it in asterisks, which means there probably needs to be a t-shirt, Couple of KUKs t-shirt that says "Don't be a peg hole." Chad is here. Got the Batman theme song. Heat gun. There it is. Theme song to go with the t-shirt. JMac asked, "Did my father get me into collecting?" Sort of. Not the same as Mikey and I. My dad was a train guy. He liked trains, stamps, coins, things like that. And my dad had two jobs that kind of kept him away a lot more than would have been preferable. But he also liked to build models. So our kind of ultimate Saturday would be to go to a train show where I could find stuff for things I was working on. He could find stuff, and then hit a hobby store somewhere in Kansas City and pick up a model kit. That was that. And when I was little, my dad was going to seminary school it was like a 4-hour trip. So when he went, he'd be gone for 2 or 3 days. This was Star Wars figures. This was kind of before GI Joe, well before GI Joe. And somehow my dad knew every figure that he had ever gotten me. And every time he came back from one of those trips, he would bring me one Star Wars guy. And I'll always remember that because I would be excited getting ready to come home from school because I'd be like, my dad's coming home tonight. I can't wait to see what's going on. I'd come home and like on my bed would be one Star Wars guy that I did not have. He always seemed to know. So I wouldn't say that he got me into it, but he certainly never made me feel bad about collecting. Even when I was a little older, he did give me a hard time, about how much stuff I had. And he would sit in my room and make comments like, every toy in here has a story. And then, and then he would, and then he would like help me come up with money to do something that had to do with toys. So he never did really make me feel bad about it or make me feel ashamed. And I always felt like my dad was kind of a man's man, but he didn't do that. So he did encourage it without ultimately discouraging it. So yeah, he kind of did get into collecting.
And then years later, in my father's adult life, for Christmas, when they would get him some kind of toy, Papa would often open the toy and swap the figures or hide the figures and put like a cucumber or something in the box. Yeah. And then play totally aloof the entire day, almost to the point of infuriating people.
Yeah. My favorite.
He would just go so far with it.
My favorite prank like that was I had this store that I went to all the time that was owned by some good friends, and they were at that time they came to my 30th birthday party even. And I had told my dad, I wanted like these figures. And so he worked out a deal with this guy and he was like, oh, yeah, just put it on your Christmas list. So I get these 12-inch sideshow figures or whatever they were at the time. I think most of them were sideshow, but so there's these boxes, I open them and inside is like a later than Hall of Fame GI Joe. At that time, Hasbro was doing the 12-inch, a little more articulated guys. And I opened this box for this like $60 figure, and there is this shitty, cheap GI Joe in the box, like wearing the helmet and stuff. And I didn't say anything. The first one I opened another one. It happened again, and I was like, guys, okay, I don't want to be an asshole here, but did you buy these like on the cheap? And my dad's like, why? What's the matter? They're GI Joes, aren't they? Like he didn't know. I said, well, yeah, these are GI Joes, but what's supposed to be in this package is not GI Joe. So he let me just twist on it because I was just like, I was mad because I thought somebody had ripped my mom and dad off, Finally, they let me stew on this all afternoon. And a little bit later, Dad's like, oh, I think we had something else for you. Yeah, what had happened was he bought those and then he went to Costco or Sam's Club and they had these sets of these figures where it had a GI Joe in a tank and a GI Joe in like a dune buggy or whatever. And he had replaced the figures. He had just swapped the figures out. So when he brought it out, these two sets that had a tank and a car or whatever in it had the figures, the real figures in them. And I think that was probably one of my dad's favorite Christmases because it just totally frustrated me, and he really enjoyed that on Christmas. So
he really did. He
did.
He loved Christmas. Like he loved like the essence of Christmas, the family aspect. But man, he loved getting at you a little bit.
Yeah, he did other things like that to me. He did other things like that to me.
Around Christmas time, he'd start telling you the Redbird was watching.
Yeah, he would.
Anytime you did anything, like, well, the Redbird's watching.
Yeah, he would purposely try to get you to upset the Redbird. He was great.
Oh man.
JMK asked me what got you into the action figures. Then it still would be my dad because when I was smaller than Star Wars. He helped, he would always like try to get me Adventure People stuff. I think that he felt like that was a good way for me because I was a little bit introverted. So he always felt like that was a good way for me to build up my imagination and to come up with new things. And so he did that. So I guess he did start it. He just didn't, he wasn't into what I was into, but he did encourage me to find what I liked. And, and that became over the years, it always became like something between us that, I remember I had appendicitis and I was in the hospital, and my folks asked me what would, if there's anything they could get me to make me feel better. And I was like, yeah, we were at Walmart Saturday and they had a short fuse that I don't have. And Dad's, oh, is that, would that make you feel better? Oh yeah. So yeah, that was his introduction. Like I say, he didn't like encourage me. We didn't talk about it all the time, but he knew what I liked, and he never like stopped me from doing it. GeForce, both mom and dad were enablers. Dad had cool stuff. Mom provided it. I get that.
So you mentioned those bamboo screws that I use for most of it, but on these smaller ones, I actually use these exfoliating Q-tips that I have. Once I use them, sometimes I just hang on to them, and then they're thinner, so I just use those. So if I've got something small like the wrist the wrist hole, the peg hole there, or there's some other times that I use them, but I get bags of those from Amazon, so as I need them, I just hang on to them. If they're not too, if they're not too gross, if I just rubbed a little paint off or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're.
What'd you do there? Cut the bands off?
Yeah, I forgot to cut the wrist and the bracelet off, so I'm gonna have to.
I was so mesmerized when you were painting your white, I didn't want to say
anything. I mean, they probably won't really be seen because we're gonna put gauntlets on him, but I do want him to be white because if not, it'll bug me at the very least. So
yeah.
So we'll go ahead and do the whites.
Father Son Galaxies here.
What up?
Maximilian said, both my parents were antique dealers, been in collecting world since day 3. Yeah, we had friends that were antique dealers, and it would always frustrate my dad because they would buy her a bunch of Barbies and then not let her open them. So she could just look at them in the boxes. Oh, Minjota says my mom would take me to JCPenney midnight sales with her as a kid. So many good toys and good memories. Oh, that's for sure, man. That's for sure. And when Chad, Mikey, and Scuba were doing the shows with the catalogs, man, it was like memory lane for me. My grandma would hand us the 3 books, and me and my cousins would go through and circle the things and put our initials by the ones we wanted.
Yeah, and then years later, we just sat around the kitchen table, and the adults and the kids were both circling out of catalogs.
Yeah. That method stayed until Black Friday sales, and we all
that's about right.
Black Friday sale, and everybody go through and okay, we want this, then we'd all split up and go to different places.
Yep. Yeah, we were tactical about that fucking Black Friday stuff.
That's awesome, Maximilian. That is so cool. JMK said, Dad left mom was a stripper, been in the strip club since day 3, know how to play pool. Hey, that's not a bad origin story, JMac. Not a bad one at all.
Yeah, yours isn't too far from that, but not because of your parents.
G-Force
I grew up with
usually,
some shady extra family.
yeah. G-Force says I usually grab 5 to 10 coffee stirs for paint mixtures. Yeah, I do that. I do that with resin for stirring resin. I'll always grab a few. I end up buying a big bag of them on Amazon, but I can't resist when I'm at a place and I see coffee stirs there. Oh, I'll put 3 of those in my pocket. Max says I want JMX life. JMX said, "Trust me, it sounds better on paper."
Yeah, I can see that.
JoeFan84, I got comic issue 72, 17, 12, 8, as well as the new Retro Cobra Eel 6-inch and modern Daredevil figure for my birthday today. Man, that's a pretty good birthday.
Happy birthday, dude. That sounds like a hell of a haul.
That is a good haul.
I've actually got a classified Daredevil in plan.
In the mix.
It's in there. The idea is out there. Parts have been assembled. One him and a Night Vulture.
I even get to do a little bit for one of those. So.
That's true.
J-Max, what I've come to realize is we only get about 100 years, and I'm here with y'all for those 100 years, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell
Good
yeah.
words.
Glad to have you with us.
Tristan said I was born in the hospital next to the old goal in a town that literally had an insane asylum on the hill leading into and out of town. Damn. I didn't realize that you knew where I grew up. I'm just kidding. That's crazy.
Australia's a weird place.
That is.
Fucking welcome to the Thunderdome, dude. Jesus, Murphy. Grew up in the animated freaking Gotham City, right next to Arkham Asylum. That's wild.
Joanne said it's the con exclusive Daredevil. I think that's the only way you could get that in the modern style.
Yeah. It's kind of a lazy build though. That's the one they used the what the hell was the recipe for that one? Hey, Robert, what's going on, man?
Robert is here. What's up?
Lazy build, but I always liked Daredevil, so I still thought it was cool, but I always thought that figure was pretty badass. Night Vulture, I just thought was Snake Eyes. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Purple.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff you just got because it was in a box.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, we could go to antique stores and get a bag of random Joes for $5. Just ended up with stuff.
Yes, we could. Those were the days. What was how they spelled jail in the old days? Well, we began as a convict colony. Yeah. So is you say goal or is it gowl or is it a little different there? That's interesting. I didn't know that that was the name for jail back then. Down under.
I didn't know that either. Yeah. So, guys, when I was growing up, the we Joe hunted quite a bit, and if it was really good, parts were really good, it ended up in this tackle box right here.
Yes, it did. That's the same one.
It is. It ended up in now. That's obviously not what's in here now. What up, Jeff?
Jeff says hello. Hey, Jeff.
Buddy boy.
spelled gel, but still pronounced gel. Okay, cool.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, that
so the
held
good
a
stuff ended up right in here. So if it was a,
that held a Star Wars or a Starduster gun for years in there.
yes, Scarlet's crossbow and Flash's gun without the broken hoses and man, all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. They're half
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle, the other half is kicker lasers. True. True.
It's very true. All right. Let's see. While that's waiting, guess we'll do some paint the face.
Trader's Garage says he has the same tackle box. I don't even remember how I got that tackle box, but I had it. I had it years.
Cooter's got that. That
Yeah.
tackle box is probably about as old as I am.
Biff Jocko. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Biff. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for being a friend.
What are we whipping up now?
I'm gonna paint the face because I just did bulk painted the white, so the face still needs to be painted.
Actually, Joe, have a good night, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for hopping in, buddy. Have a good night. She did a lot of head painting this week. On one of the nights, I sprayed, and I used the new my new Pro acrylic, and it's a different shade. It's pretty good though. I like it.
Jeff said these are the packs you two made. Yeah. These are this is the Action Assault kit. Loadout is what we call it, and I believe Mikey is using you have a Duke body. This is what you started with here on this one, right?
Yep. It's a Duke body.
You can use Flint also, but Duke's has a little more interesting.
It is technically the upper body of Flint and the lower body of Duke, but the top body's the same. It'd just be a different color, and the legs are the same except for the boots, the armor.
Which I believe you can also use a Viper, Televiper, Alley Viper. All of those use the same torso, but the Alley Viper doesn't have any sort of collar setup.
Not Televiper.
Televiper different.
It's Falcon's torso. It doesn't have the overlay.
Oh, okay.
For the collar.
It's the right arms, though, right?
No, Televiper's pinless. In fact, he's all Falcon. All of Televiper is Falcon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maximilian asks if you ever messed with oils.
In high school. I mean, for our class, we had to use oils, but I liked them, but I don't know. Painting didn't stick with me until much later, honestly.
Yeah. Ken Story says he'll catch the replay tomorrow. Well, thank you for popping in, Ken.
Appreciate it, Ken. You can't see this at all.
Yeah, they are going to have rolled up sleeves, Maximilian. I know the new one is different. I just thought that the arms were similar, but they are different. Will you avoid painting the eyes here? Or are you just going to paint everything the solid color?
I'm leaving the eyes. That way I don't have to paint them white.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, this pro acrylic flesh is it's definitely a different hue than the Kislev flesh from Citadel.
Oh yeah.
Side by side. So here's the here's the Kislev flesh. This is Citadel, and that's the pro acrylic. So the pro acrylic has a little more pink.
It does.
Than tan.
JMK, the only Pops, give me points if you know what that means. The only reference I would have would be to 411. That's the only reference, and I just assumed that's what you meant.
JMK, that was the Punisher. That was John Bernthal. Yeah. Actually, while I'm waiting for this stuff to dry a little bit.
Oh, Nika's trying as well. Zakainen looks 20 years younger today.
That's he's got a little complexion today, huh?
That is a wow. Okay. Same time toys.
What up, Shane?
welcome. Glad to see you here.
What up, jabronis? So these are some of the heads I painted. So that's
this is your current builds.
Yeah, this is just heads that needed to be painted flesh tone. So since I was doing a few of them, I decided just to run them all, everything I had that needed painted, and then I can go in and do the rest of it later. But yeah, I got a flint here, and this was actually the statue. You remember the statue, the torso bust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is really great. Really great.
Oh, really good. Really good.
Who did that?
So this is that one. It's just shrunk down, but it was a Spartan 118 Customs.
Spartan did it. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So it's available on his Etsy. You can I think it's like the last sheet on the heads, but it's got this flint head, and that is just the perfect flint head to me. That is what flint looks like in my eyes, because it looks like the card art. Like, I mean,
it looks very much like the card art. I think so too. I mean, for being over 50, the White Lightning looks pretty good. G-Force, are y'all going to Joe Fest? Yes, we are. We are going to Joe Fest this year. That is the plan.
Yep. And painted up Kenny there.
Oh yeah.
Dickweed. I don't know these two. This is that Kamakura scan. It sucks that scan just kind of loses the details. Like, you can't really see the eyes, so it's kind of shooting in the dark there. And then I think this one was supposed to be Clutch, right? Is that what the other head was? Kamakura and Clutch that you got scans of?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, the scans just they lost a lot of detail, so they're kind of different.
Yeah, they're very soft.
They are super soft. I got a Ryan Reynolds, I think is who this one is.
Cool.
Oh, what's Tristan saying? Missed out on being on set with Bernthal in the Pacific, because they had already been shot. That's too bad. That would have been really cool. I mean, it's cool enough that you were in the Pacific, but
that is cool.
That would have been dope.
Yep, we'll probably be hanging around the call sign Longbow booth. Be around Skeletron will be around that area helping out.
Mm-hmm.
But that show, DFW will have our own setup. So
yeah, I'm not planning on having a table. I mean, if something happens and we can get one, cool. But I'm not planning on it. So we'll probably just be helping out. And if I bring stuff, I can bring stuff to swaps or something. It's got Ray Stevenson there, like that. Ray Stevenson. Here's like a classic comic book Punisher.
Oh, that's a very Zek-like head.
Yeah, I like it. That's very
good.
That's
Where's
just
that
Frank. That one was shoot. think that was one of the die show, the one in England.
Yeah, okay.
I think that was one I threw in. I got those 2 boffin heads, and I think that Punisher. I think those were. He has some of the cleanest 3D prints.
Yeah, they're beautiful. He's
Super clean.
He's using a Formlabs or something because those are just.
I mean, you probably can't see it on here, but this you can see stippling for like 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
In the print, it's clean. I don't know what he's using, but I bet it's a high dollar piece of equipment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Formlabs. Nicotrona says scans require so much post production. They do. I'm trying to find somebody to do a couple of scans for me. It's just trying to find somebody that can catch the details that I need is going to be difficult. I can do a retop of a splat program where it's just a basic shape. I can redo it. I just need the proportions and where things are. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we got Omni-Man there.
It's Stacy. Hello, Stacy.
Stacy. We got Marianne Cobretti.
Oh yeah.
This is for Keith at KB Jotographs. I've just kind of slowly been building the stuff to make a Cobra for him. So
that's awesome.
So I got there, and then that Bernthal we saw earlier.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you guys at DFW. The feeling is mutual. We are super excited about DFW.
Hell yeah, man.
Tristan says Punisher is my favorite comic character. Still waiting. Yeah, I was reading Punisher back when it was just a magazine, with black and white.
Oh yeah.
Jacob said, what would you two say is your favorite toy you ever had, and do you still own it or had a chance to recollect it?
Ooh.
That's tough for me.
Damn. That is really tough. But I'd probably have to pick a bias answer, and it'd be Ghost. That's the first figure I've had in hand that I worked on, that I did the paint master for, and that it's personal. Obviously Dad couldn't have that same answer since he designed a Ghost, but
yeah, it's very different for me because honestly, the Ghost and the Red Wolf figure or the Wolf Trooper figure from Skeletron was, from our work together. So both of those figures mean a lot in the modern world to me. But growing up as a kid, I look back on things that I had and things that I really appreciated, and probably one toy that I have another one, but one toy that lasted for me until way after I even started collecting G.I. Joes. I customized it to work with G.I. Joes, and that was the Fisher-Price Adventure People ambulance. That thing was, as far as looking at all the toys, there's lots of other toys that I've had and loved, but that one just had, because it lasted with me through Adventure People and Star Wars and G.I. Joe, and I still kept it for years. That probably, I probably used that toy a lot for so many purposes, and it was a big part of my life for so many years. I'd say that was probably, and I do have a nice new one with the drivers and everything and the little stretcher that came with it. But I really loved that thing as a kid. There's obviously lots of other toys that I very much love. So anyway, that's probably my answer there, Jacob. It's a long list for me. I still one thing that I still would love to get my hands on is an original Robo Skull. I've never had one. I've always wanted one. That is a figure I loved as a toy I loved as a kid. I've told this story a few times, but when I was a kid, we had a friend that was from England. She was married to a retired Air Force guy, and he met her over there. And they were our neighbors, and every year when they'd go to England right around Christmas time, she'd come back and bring me something cool. And the first year, at that time, I had some 12-inch G.I. Joes, and she brought me the Assault Trooper, which is what we got going on here. So I loved that. And then the next year, when she went over there, they didn't have the 12-inch stuff she couldn't get, but she got the small. She got me the tan one and the white one. And so on the back of those packages and with the other stuff I knew about, I knew there was a Robo Skull. So always wanted it, never had it. That's one of those that I've always wanted to snag someday. It's just not in the cards right now. I got other projects going on. So Nicotron says, I scanned my own face and working on a head sculpt, but I'm basically having to resculpt. Yeah, I mean that's what I say for being able to. All you're getting out of the scan most of the time, people think they're just getting this perfect scan and it looks like that coming out, but you're basically just getting where the proportionately, like where somebody's eyes are, where their nose is, and their mouth.
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
more reference than anything.
person, then you still have to go in there and do the retopology to put it all together and make it into something that looks like the sculpt. Now, this guy that does the scans that I printed for Mikey, he's on Colts 3D. I cannot remember his name, but he's got a bunch of them that he does, and the scans look really good. So I don't know if he has a really good scanner, but it has all of the like the stipple of anything that they sculpt in the face. It's all there. It's just really soft. So I'm not sure what process he's using, but that's they're not very expensive and they're great for placeholders when I'm doing blender work and I just need a head to go in there to see what I need, where I need to space things out. That was what I was doing until I sculpted the head for the Action Assault Trooper, the Hue head. Then now I use that for a lot of stuff just because it's mine and I like to look at it. So yeah, those Punisher magazines, man, those are so cool. I could go to a store that didn't normally sell comic books and pick those up in the magazine with the magazines. Oh, Maximilian got Commander tickets. That's awesome. That's awesome.
For DFW, sweet dude.
Now, Maximilian, I will tell you, there's probably, if it's anything like last year, and I think it's going to be, there's going to be a workshop where you get to build something with the original Hasbro designers. Usually that costs more. It's an extra cost, but you do, as a commander, you can get in. You have the ability to get into it. That class is worth every minute working with those guys. Those guys still have passion. Mikey and I we're actually sponsoring Dave Kunitz to be one of the people there that you can work with. And Dave is a great guy. Actually, the guys that we had last year, they were all great. They all wanted to get involved and help out and walk people through the process. It was really cool.
Really cool.
If when that pops up, it's definitely worth whatever they charge for it.
Yeah, and it's going to be bigger and badder this year. I mean, last year was awesome, but this year we're cooking up some pretty cool ideas. So
Keanu Reeves is here.
Aloha.
Sorry, there's a bunch of chat here I'm getting caught up in looking at everybody talking about the Punisher and their favorite runs. The Garth Ennis run is great. I just really, I really love the War Journal stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought Garth Ennis's run was great. It was a way to kind of repurpose him in a world that wasn't surrounded by superheroes. So. Yes, adventure people are awesome. At the same time, Tonka had a line of figures and vehicles that were very similar. Some of them were more military themed, but they weren't G.I. Joes. They were just, instead of being a blue suited paramedic, it was a green suited helicopter pilot or a green suited helicopter co-pilot. But it was still fun and cool. Pretty much G-Force 3 scan is just flying. Yeah, that's true with the Robo Skull. It was kind of like for American collectors, it was just kind of something we heard about. I had gotten when she came back, she had brought me a little pamphlet, little Action Force pamphlet that folded out into a poster, and the Robo Skull was on there. I was so excited about that. And then, of course, I didn't realize, like, I will never be able to buy this here. Figure Fight Club. What's up,
what up, Bobby?
Welcome. Max, sounds badass. I'm glad we got rooms at the convention hotel too. Yeah, it is. It's nice to be at the hotel. I'm thinking this year with a lot more of us showing up from last year, plus an even larger group of us, we'll be able to hang out in the hotel lobby and get to BS and talk and just get to know each other. That sounds awesome to me. It's always probably our favorite part about Joe Fest is that it's kind of how they do it, and that makes it a lot of fun. So having a hotel that's big enough for all of us to stay in and be able to go downstairs and hang out together will be pretty awesome. Hello, hello.
What up, White Vegeta? How you doing, man?
Alpha Red, howdy.
Oh, Red.
Just got my Navy O-ring support crew from Kickstarter. How is it? I mean, is it pretty cool?
Oh, did those deliver? That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. Such a cool
I
niche.
forgot about them.
Cool niche to jump into there. Robert's been reacquiring some adventure people stuff. It's a lot of fun, and it's at a point right now where it's not a super saturated market. People are still selling them for reasonable prices, so it's kind of nice to grab them. G-Force Racing Wrangler had a line of figures and Jeeps and stuff. Yes, they did. I believe they had a Jeep pickup.
Oh, that's cool.
I always thought it was pretty cool.
Like a Comanche?
Joe Fest next year. Yeah, it's always around, so
They keep talking like they're gonna move it somewhere else, but nothing ever seems to happen with that. So,
well, I think Augusta knows that that it's going to that it brings in people. It always has. It did that year during COVID, as COVID
during
was winding
COVID, it was kind of impressive.
That was an amazing show. Everybody had spent the summer all cooped up and were ready to get out, and
man,
and they kind of underestimated how many people there were going to be, and that show was insane. There were so many people there. Now that convention ties in with the Augusta Toy Convention. It's the same thing, but he does the Joe Fest thing as part of that. So you end up, there are so many different vendors there that have nothing to do with GI Joe, which is great if you got a family or whatever and they want to look around at little Japanese candies and figures and whatever. It's just there's a lot to do. So somebody that's not into GI Joe can have a pretty good day wandering around without being totally bored.
yeah, and there's usually some pretty good representation for comics. I mean, it's a comic and toy show, and the Joe Fest thing, like you said, is just kind of part of it. There's some guys bring some pretty cool books. I was talking to Jacob, I think it was last week, about he got some really awesome, amazing Spider-Man books in his shop, and I was telling him like I love looking at them. Like I'm not gonna buy those books. I can't justify the cost, but seeing those is so cool to me. And you're talking about like Amazing Spider-Man's like in the 50s and 60s. Like you don't get to see that all that often.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like that shop we went to in Liberty that had some real keystone issues. Man, it's cool to see.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Vegeta says figures feel good. My only complaint is the O-ring feels a little small, so they want to tip to the side. I think part of that is people are moving to the silicone O-rings, which is in general that's a good move, but getting that size right, depending on how you do the waist cavity, you really got to watch that. And so the silicone O-rings are generally a little thicker than the originals, so you really have to kind kind of weigh that out, but I could see how they would want to tip to the side.
That makes sense.
Tristan says they don't really have any shows like conventions like that over there. That is sad.
That sucks. Be right back.
Oh, we lost him. Okay. All right, guys, you're going to have to throw me something out here to talk about. Mikey's right here. Sounds like JMK got a pretty sweet birthday today. So it was just like Christmas. I bet it was. I know, right? What happened? Yeah, I'm going to start having flashbacks of a mall scene in 1996. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
No.
Yeah, Stacy. They do not have a 200-mile tether, so I really there's a lot of trust here. Yeah, I know. All right, what you got next, bud?
I think I can do camo now.
So now you've assembled. What have you assembled? The arms and legs as individual pieces.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. Yeah, so legs and arms minus boots and hands is really all that's assembled. So what that lets me do kind of, oh, okay, here we go. So I can just kind of slide them over each other. And then if I want to do a paint that goes across, across like the zipper, the crotchal region, then I can hold it here and get that, and the other one I can, obviously I can do the same, but I'm seeing I need a little more white on the peg, so I'm gonna do that first.
Max, what's funny to me is when you know, like, people freak out when their kid gets lost, and it's kind of like they're going to be one of two places, and they're either going to be in the toy aisle or they're going to be at the bathroom. So you just loiter around those areas, they'll show up. And Joseph, how did you first start customizing or kit bashing? Oh man. But I started kit bashing when I was building model kits when I was young, because nothing ever was exactly what I wanted it to be. So that was kind of how I started it. And then when I first learned how to take apart GI Joes, I still around here somewhere are like the original Star Wars figures that I had that I decided to paint with Testors oil-based paint. They're still sticky and they have lint all over them, but I was so proud of them.
After 40 years, the enamel on soft plastic still hasn't cured.
Yeah, it's still bad. I always tell people that, like, well, I just painted it with model paint. 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, that meant something totally different than now. Like,
True.
What model paint did you use?
That's true.
But yeah, I like the Rebel Soldier. I painted what wasn't painted of his jacket, stuff like that. I loved that. And I would buy 2 car model kits just to get the right engine that I wanted.
I gotta set up my little paint booth, but before I do, I'm gonna show you the other heads I painted. So I don't know what this one is, but this is my Sergeant Rock. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Sergeant Rock, Snake Plissken for Jeff W. This is Hal Jordan, but I trimmed off the little wings on the top of the mask, and that is going to be my Alan Scott of New Earth. So he's just going to be blonde.
Oh, that's a good build.
And then that's I think that one was supposed to be John Marston. I don't know. I thought it was a good sculpt, so I picked one up.
That's good.
And then the other Green Lantern will be an alien, and I'm just gonna paint him blue or something. I think.
Yojo Daddy's dipping out.
Appreciate you watching, man.
For coming in. Really do appreciate it. Mikey, this is Max said actually scratched. I think it was Mikey looking for Pops and find him in aisle 3 at Cable.
I guarantee you, if Dad was at KB, I was right beside him.
Yeah. Strip malls everywhere. Like, oh yeah, we can go in there and look for discount clothes. We're going to KB.
We're going to KB. That's right. So this is actually Red Robin, but it will be Space Ghost.
It looks like Space Ghost.
Yeah, it's gonna be Space Ghost. I've already thought about it a little bit, so I'm gonna use Bullseye Batman for Space Ghost with this head. This will probably be a while before I get to it, but yeah, that's gonna be Space Ghost.
Very cool.
Zach and I talked about that for a while. I got a Batman, so I can replace the Thomas Wayne head on my Flashpoint. I got Wesley Snipes blade here. It's also for Jeff W. And then I got a Kirk Lazarus here because never go full hard R, you know.
That's right.
So there's some of the heads I was working on this week. In between having like borderline total meltdowns because the software on my computer no longer lets me use 2 monitors, and I didn't realize how dependent I was on 2 monitors. So
yeah,
this week's been a fucking challenge. Jesus. Never go full classified. That's right.
Yeah, both Mendoza and JMK talked about this. This actually, you know, I customized a lot of stuff and painted a lot of stuff, but when I first figured out how to take apart a G.I. Joe, man, that was took it to a whole new level.
Freaking game changer, dude.
Like Gung Ho was one of my favorite figures. So I would literally save up flag points to buy Sergeant Slaughter's just so I could give him upgraded arms.
Just keep snapping thumbs.
It wasn't too. I didn't care too much about Sergeant Slaughter, but I knew my Gung Ho needed like beefy arms. So.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Oh. Camo time.
Dad, did you happen to see Duarte's Power Rangers headquarters?
I did.
That? Dude, that thing is fucking crazy.
I am not a Power Rangers fan. I know you and me went to see the movie when you were a kid, and you watched.
We had to sit front row though, so I don't really remember any of it.
Right, but that is an absolute work of technical art,
isn't it?
That he has put together.
I am glad I am not a Power Rangers guy because that thing's $2,000 and I wouldn't be. There's no way I could afford it. There's just no fucking way.
It is amazing. He never disappoints. I'm always excited to see stuff he's working on, and that is just to know he's been working on that for a little bit. That's awesome.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
What color are you gonna lay down first on the camo?
Are
you gonna do the blue and gray?
Yeah,
over
I'm
the
doing the
white?
blue and gray. I think I'm gonna do gray first. Now I'll do blue first. So blue I'm using, not that it matters because this is like unobtainium now, but Model Master U.S. Navy blue gray medium. It's kind of a gray, kind of a steel blue. But no sense in like hoarding it because if you don't use it, you will lose it. It will dry
Yeah,
the
it
fuck
will. It
out.
will die. I mean, just
I
it got
just
back
will.
into it when my son's favorite toys got chewed up by our dog and needed to be repaired or repurposed. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really never got out of doing that. Taking GI Joes apart. I remember getting buckets of them. Like Mikey said, we used to go to flea markets and get them, and he would just go crazy. You know, like taking stuff apart and painting it. He loved it because we just had tons of material at that time to just go through and find what arms he wanted, what legs he wanted. So it really, I loved seeing that because it was something I wanted to, I always hoped would happen, but I wasn't going to push him into it. It just happened, and that's where he took it. So a lot of kids would have just played with what they had, but Mikey like constantly was fiddling with it. Tristan says we need a gung ho in the classified line with correct tattoos. I know it's a licensing issue, but yeah, I think that would be incredibly awesome. And yeah, 2-pack with that would be great. I would love that. I would love that. I always loved Gung Ho, and I had even with the Dress Blues one, it kind of came out around the same time in the comic book story where the generals were in the pit and it got attacked. So I just kind of thought, well, same kind of deal with Gung Ho. This is what he was wearing when they got attacked. So Jeff says we need Bass Pro Shops bazooka first.
Oh hell yeah!
I am all for that. I know we all
I love
give
Gone Fishing Bazooka.
we all give those guys a lot of crap uh, because of their colors mostly. But some of those figures in that line, that was the first time as a kid I was even introduced to the concept of what contract operators looked like. So I'm all for any of those figures getting released because as a modern figure that would be pretty slick. Blue jeans and everything. I had a 1/35 scale Tamiya set that had it was I think it was Navy SEALs, and two of the four of the set were blue jean figures. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't know anything about it, and then started learning more about that whole part of the military. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, especially like Vietnam stuff. Maxog and
Yeah,
and that shit. Like fighting with the home team. To reestablish.
JMax says, I'm asking for a friend. Do you take figures for trade?
I actually I kind of have. I mean, Jeff W sent me um a couple things in trade. One of them was a dragonfly. Wanted a lot of work from me, and I'm still working on it.
Curious Rod
Someday
says,
I will be finished.
way back when the O-ring broke on my 86 bat, and my grandpa took a long look at it, took it out to the shop, and that was how I learned to replace O-rings. Yeah, I was always the kid that took things apart and tried to improve them. So Dad just when I said something to my dad about it, he went to his desk and pulled out a screwdriver that was like a perfect screwdriver for it, and just handed it over to me, and I figured it out pretty quick. J Max says, "There you go, Abby. He takes trades." Yeah, his inconspicuous civilian attire with a giant machete on his leg. Yeah, chuckles. Nice.
Yeah, so here's what I'm kind of talking about. So I can lay that diaper piece over and know that I'm going to have a little bit of overage right
runoff.
here. Right about
Yep.
there. And then here, right about there. I can take that, bring it over to the next one, and say, oh, yep, right here. There. Okay. It's the only one that needs to line up. So that's pretty easy.
JMK's asking, do you got anything ready right now for this weekend?
Do I have figures that are ready for this weekend? I mean, I have stuff that's made right now, but I don't have any shows this. I'm not going to Newburgh or anything. I wish I was. I wish I could do that, but yeah, I still have some of the last figures I posted, like let's see, the Cobra coils, which I love. I love that. And if that never sells, I won't be mad about it. I love that figure. It's such a cool custom. I love that original figure. So I got him. I've got Guillotine, Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders, Mutton Junkyard, Tombstone. I've got a few figures that I have right now that I guess are just left over from
machetes. I'd like to Classified Muskrat. Did they hint towards that in the last week? I thought we had some kind of hint that there might be a muskrat coming.
I don't know, but that was actually one of the figures I was looking at working on, just because I thought he's a pretty cool looking character, especially if you go Night Force colors.
Oh yeah,
pretty good.
He's a pretty cool character all around. I know that
he's really not that goofy.
Yeah, at Assembly Required one of the years they did a kit with the bodyboard and shotgun and hat. I don't remember what else that kit had.
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes it takes it takes several steps into the process before I stop thinking that. And sometimes it's the final process of putting a wash on it where I'm like, oh, okay, yep, that is woodland camo. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure during doing that Tiger Force camo for my Falcon,
God,
I'm sure that was.
I swear it never looked right. Like, it's actually kind of nice watching that video, like sped up 5 times or whatever that one had to be to get into 20-ish minutes.
Yeah.
that one I'm glad you can watch it that way, because otherwise you're like, this looks fucking stupid.
Jerk is here.
Jerk. What's up, sir? What is up?
We're going on 10 to 8 here, Mikey. Is there something you want to try to get done here in the next little bit?
No, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it right there.
Okay.
Anything else would be rushed, and I'll let you guys get over to three POA.
POA.
So yeah, I'll just kind of work on cleaning up my airbrush real quick, and we'll kind of do our last of the chats and BS a little bit and wrap it up with whatever. I don't think anybody needs to see me monkey fuck this airbrush. So. So I do use a different airbrush for this. Normally I use the. Switch back. Normally I use the Extreme Patriot. This is my everyday most used one. I think the needle is a 0.5, I think, on this one.
Okay.
And then for this stuff, I use this one, which is just a cheap Amazon one, but it's got a 0.3 needle in it. So it's a little smaller stream. That way I don't get as much. I like this paint, this camo pattern specifically, to kind of be faded in, because that's how that kind of camo looks in real life. So I just, instead of switching out needles and changing out, nozzles and everything associated with it, I just keep 2 guns and work like that.
Yeah, that seems like that would make more sense. Just have two ready to go.
Yeah, it definitely works better for me. I don't want to have to keep the airbrushes, around, and the needles close. Just do it the easy way. It's
Thanks,
okay to
Jay.
shortcut every once in a while.
Hey, Paul Knapp's here.
Oh, hey, buddy. Just cut the tail end of his show last night after I got the computer back up. I guess it was running, still one monitor, but yeah, he's doing on Tuesdays. He's doing these like miniature conversations. So they were talking about little. That was pretty cool. They were talking about molds and all kinds of, the stuff you like to talk about.
Yeah.
The technicals.
I love technicals.
Manufacturing. I know you're a big fan of the technicals.
I do love that stuff. Paul Knapp, what shows are you guys attending this year? Well, we have the June road trip of hitting up Joe Fest and DFW.
Back-to-back weekends.
Back-to-back weekends. That is, oh boy.
I'm gonna be so sick of your ass.
I know. we are definitely going to have a couple of days in Texas where we do not have much contact.
That'll be fine. You can spend some time with Paul, and I can go out. That does not mean I am not looking forward to it, but continue.
No, we both know our points. And then Paul will also, of course, go to Des Moines in November for the Assembly Required Codename Iowa show. We like to go to that show. There's not a lot of sales generated there for us, but that is the show where the people that have been going to G.I. Joe shows together for a long time, that's kind of where they all meet. It's kind of laid back. And we have, it's just fun. It's just a nice show. It's a weekend show, and we can get back home by Sunday night, and it's all good.
Yeah, it makes complete sense for us. I mean, it's 3 hours away from me and 6 hours away from you, me being right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer,
Paul's
like,
going to
people that are trying to
Toylanta.
sell stuff. Are you really going to Toylanta? I am a little
That's awesome.
jealous. That show sounds like a freaking blast. Mm.
He's hoping to do DFW in Katekiana. That's cool.
Right
I
on.
hope you do go to DFW.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Be
I
awesome
think
to
I'll
get
have a project that I'm working on with one of the vendors there that will be
right up your alley,
pretty
pal.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As a
pretty
12-inch
awesome for the
man, you'll be digging that.
1/6 scale people. It'll just be a prototype of something that we're working on, but it will be definitely show what we're planning. We got the next year, I believe, is the anniversary of Action Force. So,
Which is pretty rad.
we're gonna try to get ahead of that game and have something ready.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know that assembly requirement show, as small as it is, if any of you out there like Skeletron, that's the show to thank for that. Because that's the one Ben started going to. That's the thing that brought him right back into the Joes.
Yeah, they
Always
Skeletron always shows up big at that show, and they have since they first introduced the Kickstarter. Obviously, they'll have probably an incredibly awesome spread at Joe Fest.
Well, if it's anything like last year, I'm so bummed we had to miss that because their
I know.
their booth was amazing. Plus, you know, how cool would it be to rub elbows with Bob Reekin?
Sure.
Freaking boffin, dude.
Mm-hmm. Stacy, have a good night too.
Stacey.
Thank you for showing up. Appreciate it.
It absolutely is going to be a blast. Really looking forward to it. But it's that time. We'll get you guys off to 3 POA. There shouldn't be any issue with Zach on tomorrow night, but you know, something happens, something happens, you know. We'll is it improvise, adapt, and
Shannon.
overcome. Night, Mom. Love you. Yeah, so tomorrow night, figure it out with us. 9 p.m. Central. We'll have Yojo Jerk, and we're talking our favorite cover songs, which I'm super excited about.
That's going to be a great show.
It is going to be a good show. Absolutely. Hi, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for hanging out, man.
So this Sunday, no couple of kooks because we're rotating Sundays, right? Every other.
Yep.
What we're doing.
This is the skip week, and which is good because we should have some pretty great stuff.
Absolutely. So we will. You too, man. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Really looking forward to it. Oh yeah, man.
Ninjas, I did.
What was
I did
then?
say 1/6. So
As we get a little closer, we'll be able to share a little bit. But right now we're kind of still in development, so
yeah,
playing it close to the vest. But we will let you guys know as the show approaches what the plans are for that. But
yeah, I think we'll probably just do a reveal at the show, but we'll see what happens. There's definitely that and some other like I've talked about on a couple of kooks. We got some other projects cooking. Some are a little more ambitious than others.
Sure.
So we shall see what happens.
Absolutely. So, guys, as always, I can't thank you enough for coming in here and watching me freaking paint. It's kind of surreal to me, but I really appreciate it. I love you guys. Appreciate you in the chat. Pop, I'll talk to you after. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
We see each other again. You have a good.